And it's 30 IBUs.
Right. Well, hello again, all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Nelly of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening with a special examination. Michael and I are looking at some more Georgia beer. This is the Pontoon Brewing Company's Quad Stack, 11% alcohol, 30 IBUs. Pontoon Brewing is out of Sandy Springs, Georgia. They've done very well, and they've started distributing up north. So maybe one day, Michael, you'll be able to get these in New York. They do distribute in the Boston area. I know Brandon and Trish get some of their beers up there. One of my favorite local craft breweries. So this is a Belgian quad with maple syrup, vanilla, and lactose. All right. And I have had this beer before. I really enjoy it. I bought a 4-pack. And this is the last one out of the 4-pack. So let's go ahead and crack these open and get into them. What do you think?
Okay, I'm ready. I am going to pour mine. Let's see how looks nice in the glass. I'm not going to try to get the whole thing into this glass, though. I'm going to stick that on the side for later. Let's look at the light. I'll tell you what's funny. This is darker than the Ballantine Burton that I had, but what's interesting is it's the same general color.
Mm-hmm.
That one was a little bit more garnet colored, a little bit redder. This is more orangey, but it's very similar. This one is kind of red color, too. Very interesting. Lots of carbonation in mine.
Yeah, lots of bubbles going up the glass. Mine did pour with a little bit of head, but my head, for whatever reason, has just died down completely.
Yeah, I still have that little mild head on the top, which is holding up well with good lacing and stuff. What kind of nose are you getting?
So you're getting that Belgian quad type aroma, some banana esters in there. I'm getting the maple syrup. It's definitely on the sweeter side with the aroma. Maybe a little bit of the vanilla as well. It almost has like a chocolate covered banana type thing going on with the aroma. It smells very good, definitely malt forward. And I'm not picking up any 11% on the nose.
I'm getting the vanilla as well, and I'm getting the maple syrup too. Does not smell 11% either, and I guess I'm ready.
All right. Cheers, Michael. Hope you enjoy it.
It's really good.
Very malt forward.
Definitely malt forward. Let me just ask you something. You just had your first sip too. Mm-hmm. Were you able to kind of like taste the carbonation in the first taste? Because that's something that just hit me. It's almost like in the first taste, I got carbonation, which you don't get with every beer.
Right. It definitely has some good carbonation. I would say that the carbonation with this is on the upper end. It's high with the carbonation.
But I'm saying that's a good thing. But you don't get that in every beer you have, so it's
right. Especially with a lot of these, these higher alcohol beers like this, 11%, especially.
Getting the sweetness, I'm getting the maple syrup. The vanilla is more subdued in the taste than it was in the nose to me, but it's there.
Right. I agree. I'm getting a lot of caramel and toffee notes. Nice, like spiced bread note in the middle of the sip. That spice note coming from that, Belgian yeast character that you get with these style beers. A little bit of fruit from that as well, like some banana notes from the Belgian yeast. The maple syrup is there, but it's not overly done. Maple syrup is very sweet, and if they put too much of it in here, it could have really made the beer, cloying. I don't think it's overdone with maple syrup.
No, it's not cloying. It's sweet, but the sweetness is balanced by, I guess maybe it's the lactose too, because the lactose is smoothing it out. So it seems like you're getting this kind of like a creaminess in it in the taste a little bit. This is really good.
Yeah, I really like this because of how unique it is. You know, when you think of a Belgian quad, you know, vanilla, maple syrup, lactose, those aren't traditional.
No, they're not the typical Belgian flavor.
Right. So this is it's definitely a unique beer. I think it's a wonderful drinking experience. Being that I love malt forward beers and beers to be on the sweeter side with not a ton of hoppiness, this is right up my alley. And at 30 IBUs, it's really I'm not getting any hops with this.
I'm getting zero bitterness, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't even taste 30. That's how low the bitterness is.
Right. So those 30 IBUs are the hops that they're using are just basically to maybe balance out some of that sweetness, because it is definitely on the sweet side.
Now the alcohol is definitely severely muted. So this is a very dangerous beer. You basically with this have to assume that with the taste profile you have with the vanilla, with the maple syrup, and with the sweetness, that's covering any alcohol that's in here, at least the way your taste is viewing it. So this is drinking more like a 6.5% or 7% beer than an 11 to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree completely with that statement. It is very, very dangerous how smooth it is at 11%. Really quick, cheers to Drunken One. He's in the chat. Square Table Degenerates Podcast says, "What's up, John? Not much. Just drinking some high alcohol beer, having a good time." Bumpy says he hasn't had pancakes in a long time. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've had pancakes. I'm not a huge breakfast guy, so I usually skip breakfast altogether because, you know, I'd rather sleep in than get up and eat breakfast. And Leprechaun TV is in the house. Cheers to you, Lep. Thanks for stopping by. All right.
Where is Sandy Springs in relation to Noonan?
So Sandy Springs is North Georgia. It's probably about 30, 40 miles north of Atlanta. So it's probably a good hour and a half drive from me, just because of the traffic to get through Atlanta and get up towards North Georgia.
So it's on the other side of Atlanta.
Right.
Okay. I know where it is then. I've heard of it. I've heard of Sandy Springs. Again, like I told you, I lived there for 3 years in the late 70s. So I know Atlanta. Now, I don't know Atlanta as busy as the traffic is now, because when I was there was interstate, but not like with traffic on it.
Yeah. Not crazy like it is now.
It was much different then. But again, that was before you were born. So, I mean, it was a different time.
Right. Mm.
And we've had our discussions about Phoenix City, Alabama, and Columbus too, which, as a northerner being in the South, I found Phoenix City to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was like going back into another time zone, or like the Twilight Zone.
Right. A lot of crime and corruption back in the day in Phoenix City. The mafia played a big part in the development of Phoenix City back in like the 50s.
And you did live in Columbus for a while, so you got to see it was right on the other side of a river. What river is that? Do you know the name of
it's
the river?
The Chattahoochee
River. Okay. Because it's funny. I had the Georgia territory where I sold my cosmetics, but when I got so close to Alabama, I just wanted to see what was different. So I went across, and the beer was completely different. It was strange. It was really strange.
Yeah. People that lived in Phoenix City would just drive right over the bridge so they can get their lottery tickets and their 40-ounce beers, and then head back over into Alabama. Phoenix City is one of the only cities in Alabama that is on Eastern Time, because most people
most of the state is on Central Time.
Alabama for the most part is Central Time, but there's 3 or 4 counties in Alabama that are on Eastern Time, because they're little small areas, and most people that live in those areas work in Georgia because it's right there on the state line. So it wouldn't be good to wake up and you have to wake up an extra hour. You know, you get used to that time change, just being that you're right over the bridge.
So where your parents live is on Central Time.
Yes. Oh yeah, they're right in the heart of in Montgomery. So yeah, they're Central Time.
It's funny now, as this is warming, and it's not very warm, it's been out of the refrigerator maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I'm starting to get the flavors maybe intensifying a little bit, getting more of the vanilla now in the taste. Still getting the maple syrup as well, but the vanilla.
Maple syrup, yeah, maybe the vanilla's coming through a little bit more.
And it's creamy because of the lactose, I guess, but it is really smooth.
It is really smooth. The lactose, I wouldn't say that it necessarily gives it a creamy mouthfeel. Like, you know, a lot of beers, when they put lactose in the beer, they add a substantial amount, and it really makes the mouthfeel creamy. This one, I don't think it was so much to make it have a creamy mouthfeel as much as it was to smooth it out and maybe mask some of that 11% alcohol.
I guess that's true.
And, you know, when you add lactose to a beer, a lot of times you hold it up to the light and it's really hazy from the lactose. This one is still relatively clear.
Yeah, it is
a little bit. I'm getting a little bit of sediment kind of floating around. It almost just looks like dust particles, very fine particulate matter in there.
But the same thing happened to my beer that happened to yours. That head that I had at the beginning now has become a fast fade now. It's on the edge. I have more than you do. Mine's going to go too, though. You can see that it's on its way out.
Right. It's on its way out.
You remember when I started, it was a good half finger head, and now it's down to just a slim, very small head now. I have never had a quad like this. I'm used to more of the Belgian style quads that are more spicy than this.
Right. Yeah, me too. That's why this is such an interesting beer, because it's
very interesting.
It defies the genre of Belgian quad, but it still has all of those notes. It's just they're more subtle because of the maple syrup, the vanilla, and the lactose really add that extra dimension that you typically don't get with the style.
I guess what this proves is you could make a beer that's a certain style. You can change up on the fly, and you can come up with something different, and it still can be very effectively done. This is really good, and I like different stuff. I'm somebody who, if you give me a little curveball, it's a good thing.
Right.
What does Pontoon specialize in as far as their basic beer catalog?
So my favorite beers from them are their stouts. And there's one actually that I bought 2 4-packs of it. I'm gonna have to send you one because I want to review it with you. It's one of my favorite stouts. It's called the Fluffy Otter, and it is a stout with marshmallow, vanilla, and lactose.
That sounds wonderful.
And it tastes like chocolate marshmallow heaven. And it's 10 or 11%. It's higher alcohol as well. It's an imperial. It's one of the best. I mean, it's one of the best beers that they make. They do really good stouts. I'm hoping that they put out the Decadent Mousse again. That one was out last year. It was a raspberry mousse flavored stout. They also have a beer called Down with the Thickness, which is a hazelnut chocolate stout. So my favorite beers from them are their stouts. They have a lot of great stouts.
Do they do IPAs as well?
They do IPAs as well. I have one in the fridge, actually. It's called goodness, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like Not Your Average NEPA or something like that. And that's the name of the beer. And it's got a knight in his armor, and it's an interesting label. All the Pontoon beers have really cool artwork on the cans, and they're known for the otter is their animal of choice.
Okay,
their mascot.
That's an otter that's on the can.
Right. Yeah, the Fluffy Otter is a really interesting label. It's just this fat otter sitting down on a couch, stuffing his face with marshmallows. That's the label. So
when I was upstairs before talking to Audrey, I was saying to her, that I used to be this kind of straight IPA character, and I've completely changed because it's not like I dislike IPAs. It's just like now they're my second thought. So when I go into a beer store now, I'm looking at the stouts and the porters and the brown ales before I'm looking at the IPAs. I'm willing to look at the IPAs, but they're not my first thing. And they used to be my first thing because that was the only beer, the only craft beer I really, when I started on. I won't say I wasn't drinking any stouts, but now it's like it's converted where I'm on the other side. And I think if I went into somebody's house who had craft beer and they offered me a Guinness, and I'm just picking a stout that they might have in your average thing, and a Guinness versus a Lagunitas IPA, I think I would take the Guinness. Not that I don't like Lagunitas IPA, but the Guinness is a standard stout, and I like that taste profile at this point better.
Right. Yeah, that's, we're kind of on the same page as far as what we like in beer. Stouts and porters, right up there for me. The quads, like these types of beers, I really love the Belgian strong beers. You were talking about Doppelbock earlier. I love Doppelbock. Anything really malty with a lot of alcohol, sign me up for that.
Right. I like sours as well. So you put the sours on top, and that seems to be where
other beer, right? The other beer that I sent you from Pontoon is actually a sour, so that'll be interesting to get your take on that as well.
But this is extremely good, and it's different. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think I've ever had a quad quite like this. It's kind of like a surprising combination of flavors, and I like it. So I'm happy with my first Pontoon beer. It's very good.
Good. You thinking of a rating, or?
I think I have to sip on it for a little bit longer, but I'm enjoying it.
All right. I'll tell you what, while you're sipping, let me go grab some of these other beers that I got, and I'll show you some of the other Pontoon stuff. And I will be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
No problem. I'm going to continue sipping on this one, enjoying it. Well, I guess I could look at the chat as John hangs out. I see Leprechaun TV and Square Table. Hello, everybody. Western Beer Reviews, hello to you. I like this, though, and I have to say, for this type quad, it has surprising flavor to it.
Okay, so Pontoon makes a lot of great stuff. These beers just kind of came back out for the season. This is one of the best stouts. Like I said, I'm going to have to send you one of these. This is the Fluffy Otter. You see the otter shoveling in marshmallows, and you got the little marshmallow faces all the way around the can. And this one is the milk stout with marshmallow, vanilla, and lactose, 9% alcohol. And this one does not list what the IBUs are. Very low, though, because it's super malt. It's not bitter at all. This is one of their New England IPAs. Pontoon, the Knights Who Say Nipa.
Have you had that one before?
Yeah, and it's really good. It's not as good as the Wild Leap IPAs, I don't think. The one that I sent you was better than this, the Alpha Abstraction the first one we did, the Wild Leap beer.
That one was very good.
This one, it says New England style IPA with Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, and Laurel hops. 8%, 32 IBUs. So pretty good. It just doesn't compare. Like Bumpy sent me some stuff from New Hampshire recently. Brandon and Trish sent me some Trillium beer. So it can't stack up to the authentic New England IPAs that I've had. And then this one, I might have to send you one of these too, because it's better than the sour that I sent you, but it wasn't available when I sent out your beer mail. This is called the Flotation Device. Well, it's the Flotation Device series. This is the Snozberries edition, Berliner Weiss sour. It is 7.5%, and it has blackcurrant, blackberry, raspberry, vanilla, and lactose. All of the Berliner Weiss beers that Pontoon puts out, most of their beers actually, if you'll notice a theme with them, they love lactose. They put lactose in a lot of their beers to give it that smoothness and that creamy mouthfeel, because most of their stuff is higher alcohol. So the lactose is a common addition in Pontoon beers.
So it sounds like in that Berliner Weiss, the different berry combinations should be very good.
It really is, yeah. And the other beer I was going to show you, this is not a Pontoon beer, but this is one that I was telling you I would have sent you if it was available. It just was released again, so I'll have to send you one. This is the Wild Leap Truck Chaser Series Creamsicle Double IPA, and it says this double IPA combines the flavors of ripe orange, vanilla bean, and milk sugar with a big juicy IPA to bring you back to the days when you chase the ice cream truck, not the beer truck. This is 8.1% alcohol, and it is, I guess it's a milkshake IPA technically, but it's New England. It's a juice bomb with milk sugar in it, and it's super good.
So is that different than the Wild Leap you sent me? Because you sent me one Wild Leap IPA that we did, or
that's the Alpha Abstraction. They do different volume every few months. The one I sent you was volume 15. The Truck Chaser series is a rotating series as well, but this one, okay, so this is the original, the Creamsicle. They also have a strawberry eclair version, which is probably my favorite, and then they have a lemon ice one as well, and they're all good. They're all really good.
It sounds really good. The Wild Leap that I had was terrific. I thought it was really good.
And the stouts are where it's at too with Wild Leap. That's my favorite style from them as well. The Partners in Creamer that we did, I guess it was last week. That one you thought was really good. But that's what they're known for as well. I think more than the IPAs is their porters and stouts. It'll be interesting. You got one more of those too. We still have to do the Wild Leap Rolling Deeper Cinnamon Roll Stout, which is 12.5% alcohol.
Right. That's you sent me mostly high alcohol beers. The only low one you sent me was the one you sent me, the Pale Ale, because you weren't able to get the IPA and the Creature Comfort. But all the other beers were all very high.
Right.
This really does drink though like a lower alcohol beer though. You have to be careful because this can be trouble.
And folks, if we start slurring our words and acting funny, it's because we just got done doing a 9.6% Bigfoot barley wine. Or actually, yours was even yours was 11.
Mine was 11.3. So
11.3, and now 11 with this one. So
I'm trying to go slow. I'm sipping and I'm going slow, but this is really good. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit more vanilla.
I'm telling you, man, something about this reminds me on the nose now. It's coming through even more. And I know I think it's the maple syrup that's giving it this effect in combination with the Belgian yeast, but it kind of brings me back to my childhood a little bit. It smells a little bit like a chocolate covered banana.
I'm getting it too. So, I mean, it's not like it's just you. I'm getting the same thing. And I'm getting, it's like the maple syrup is kind of like coming around it.
Yeah. I mean, you could give this to a child and it would be like liquid. They love it.
You can't taste the alcohol in it. It's amazing to me how they look. Give them credit, Pontoon, for being able to brew a beer where you really can't taste the alcohol. It's like I was saying it was 6.5 or 7, but maybe it's not even that high.
STD Podcast says it's a beer channel. We want you to get drunk. All right. Well,
but he doesn't care about our personal life. But I mean, that's a separate story.
I gotta get up for work in the morning, so you can't get too crazy.
This is very good, and I'm very happy you sent this to me. And I've always been into all the Belgian styles, the quads, the triples, the doubles, and even the singles, which I like also. But there has to be some yeast in here because it has that Belgian feel to it.
The fruity esters from the Belgian yeast, particularly the banana notes, especially for me. Right. Yeah, definitely.
So the combination that they did by putting this together makes this a really balanced beer too.
Right. The only thing I would say is if you're a big hop head and you're expecting maybe a little bit of bitterness, a little balance on the finish, you're not going to get it. Even though it is 32 IBUs, none of that is coming across on the palate.
It's zero bitterness. You can't taste the IBUs in this the way they've done it, which is
Right.
I can accept that though. See, it's different. I guess if you want the hops to be the lead thing, you shouldn't drink quads. I mean, it's not a beer that features the bitterness. So
Right.
if the IBUs is in the 30s, it's there more as a moderating thing than it is to give you the bitterness.
Right.
This is really good.
I would say that if you like Belgian quads, you definitely should give this a try. It's a lot different though. It doesn't, the spiced bread notes that really shine in a lot of the Belgian quads, although they are present in this beer, they're very muted because of the additional elements in the beer. The vanilla and the lactose and that maple syrup really add a sweetness that covers up some of that bready spice type yeast character. Although the fruit part is coming through, so the banana notes, but that spiced bread element that you get from Belgian yeast, a lot of times you're not really picking up on that so much on the palate.
I would like to have somebody who's a real Belgian quad freak taste this and see if they would consider this to be a true Belgian quad. Because if you go strictly by the book, how would you feel about this? See, I'm somebody who doesn't go strictly by the book. If
I don't go strictly by the book either, because it allows me to be more open about beers like this. But you know what? They did a great job with this beer. By the book, I would say, all right, the label here, it says Belgian quad. If I was a strictly by the book person, I would change that to Belgian style quad, because
we know this beer is brewed in Georgia.
It's not a true Belgian quad, but it has all of those notes and then some. They made it their own thing with the addition of the other, ingredients in the beer. I think even if you're a by the book guy, you may not, you may not be willing to call it a Belgian quad. But I think if you like Belgian quads and you drink the beer, I think you would still enjoy it, because it's a damn good beer.
No, it has some of the Belgian style quad in it for sure. It's just the ingredients that they put in here are not what you typically get. But I like it. They've done a good job putting it together, so I'm a fan. Leprechaun TV wants a Corona.
He does like his Corona. And Western Beer Reviews, when I'm wasted, I like a quad. Well,
Western Beer Reviews, that'll get you more wasted.
That would not help with your inebriation process.
I think even the lowest alcohol quads are more than 10. So, your basic quads are over 10.
All of the Chimay stuff is 10, 11, 12%. The St. Bernardus stuff is way up there. Yeah, I think 10% is really like the base, the lower end of quads these days. I mean, this one here is 11. So
this is 11, and some go north of that to 12 and 13. So I mean, you can get even into the higher echelons. I also think by this being at 11 seems to be one where they've kept by covering the alcohol, you really don't feel the 11 at all.
I'm feeling it a little bit, but not because
but I had the Ballantine Burton Ale
because of the back-to-back high alcohol beers. I will say this though, we were talking about no alcohol whatsoever. As it's warming, do you notice that? And I'm not saying it's boozy, but it does start to have that warming effect going down the throat a little bit.
It does. And I think with any beer you do have, and it doesn't matter what it is, as it warms, you do get more of the alcohol boozy effect, because it's covered up by the coldness, the fact that it's been chilled. So it's warmer. But it's not in a bad way, because it's good booziness.
It is. It's really good. This is the type of booziness that you want in the beer, or the barrel. That's why we love barrel aged stuff too, because you get the really good boozy qualities from barrel aged beers. Which, by the way, I think if they did a barrel aged version of this, that would just, I don't know. I think everything barrel aged is better, but
Jeremy is visiting us now, and I still feel bad for him because of the Tom Brady effect. But he's done it to everybody except my team. He's never beaten the Giants in the Super Bowl. But other than that, he's done it to most everybody else.
But Jeremy, the Chiefs are. Patrick Mahomes stays healthy. They've got some great receivers, the best tight end in the game right now. They're going to be back. Don't worry. Tom Brady's 43. He can't play forever.
Right. He has a shelf life. So at some point, when he gets into his middle 40s, he has to start fading.
Right.
You just figure time will catch up with him at some point. But he looks amazing for his age. I mean,
I will say this, I was pulling for the Chiefs because Tom Brady, he's been to 10 Super Bowls now. But now that he won it, he was already the greatest of all time. But now it's like he's at a level that nobody will ever be able to surpass because he has won more Super Bowls than any single franchise.
All of them put together.
And the fact that the whole Bill Belichick, Tom Brady thing was talked about for so many years. Well, Tom Brady's so great because of Bill Belichick. Well, Tom Brady's like, you know what? I'll show you. He left the Patriots and he won without Bill Belichick. So it's like that just puts him on. So it's cool from a standpoint of we will never see this again in our lifetimes. I doubt. So and we got to see history in the making, and it will never be. I don't think it'll ever be done again to that level. It's insane.
But give the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay a lot of credit. They knew that the tackles were backup tackles. And what they did is they did a game plan where they would attack those tackles. And you saw the pressure Mahomes was under. It was almost like, give me a backup tackle on both sides, and we're going to come through with our good pass rushers. And he didn't have a chance. I mean, it was like.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes, first of all, he had the turf toe, which I think 2 days after the Super Bowl, he had surgery on it. So he was playing. He couldn't run as good as he normally would be able to. But the Tampa Bay defense just was insane. The defense is what won the game. Great defenses win games. If the Tampa Bay defense was not attacking Mahomes as much as they were, it would have been a much more evenly matched game. But Patrick Mahomes just didn't have time in the pocket. He was getting lit up.
Right. And they were held to 3 field goals in the whole game.
Right.
And this was the highest scoring offense in the NFL. So they were, really basically, Brady didn't need 31 points to beat them, but I mean, he got that many points, but he only scored 9. But I actually enjoyed the game. I thought it was a well-played game. And
I enjoyed the game.
True, what Jeremy's saying is true. Besides the 2 tackles, one of their guards was out too. So they were missing 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen.
And the Andy Reid's son, one of the coaches, was not there.
Right. He had that accident, that DWI accident in Missouri right before. And now I understand he's been suspended. So they've put him down where he's not tied in with the team right now.
So there must have been something involved maybe that we don't know about, whether it was alcohol or something.
I think they've decided for sure alcohol was involved. It's just a matter of to what degree.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah. Let's see. Western Beer Reviews. Vape Nation is in the chat. And yeah, good glass of bourbon. Yeah. Cheers to you, Vape Nation. Thanks for stopping by.
I like a good shot of bourbon here and there. It's something I could.
I do. I had some Wild Turkey 101 last night as a nightcap. It's really good stuff. Yeah, Mahomes is a class act, no excuses. And you know what? Even though he was getting beat up by the defense, some of those throws that he was still able to get off as he's falling to the ground were really impressive. So
he was trying to do everything he could to make his team win. He was just under so much pressure, and they would come from both sides. It was hard because the offensive line was overmatched, and it's sad. But you have injuries, and it's to frontline players. They're impossible to replace.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way it is, and that's it. Okay, John, I'm ready with a number now. Are you ready with your number?
I think I'm ready. Yeah, I'll let you go first since you.
I'm going to give it a 98. So this is world class as far as I'm
I am right there with you. I'm going to go with a 97. But yeah, right there in that same ballpark. Because 98, 99, and 100 for me are world class. I would say it's outstanding, but when I think of a world class quad, I think of the Saint Bernardus and the Chimay stuff, and this is excellent. It's right there, but because it's non-traditional and it's not quite there on the same level as those two that I just mentioned, Chimay and Saint Bernardus being the best two Belgian quads that I've ever had. But it's right there. It is right there with them.
It's very good. I am enjoying. I sent you, I don't know if you got it yet, a description of what's going to go on this weekend on my Pints of Love thing, which I told you about with Howard. So I sent you the you'll get it in a text, which is all the events that are going on. I took a screenshot of it. And I sent
okay. Yep, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, so you can take a look at it and tell me what you think when you see it. I'm excited in that it looks like I had envisioned that there were going to be people reviewing beer, but it sounds like now the beers are mostly just for consumption, and we're going to be watching brewers talking about their companies, and there'll be Q&As if people who are on the thing want to ask them questions, kind of deal. That's what it's going to be. There's some music involved in it. They have some stuff where there's going to be yoga and beer and different. You'll take a look at the different combinations, but there are times when there's 3 events going on at the same time, so you can only watch one. So you have to pick the thing you like the best.
Okay.
And that's it. And Gail is going to also do it. So maybe we can talk before we start, and she can do ones that I don't do. We may have a common interest where we both want to do one. I don't know how that's going to work out. But we were going to get the beer on Sunday, and we got snowed on. So now we're supposed to meet tomorrow and go and pick it up. Look, worst case scenario, if I have to go by myself to get it, I will. But she has not responded, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, where do you have to go to pick it up again?
It's called Interborough Brewing. It's one of these, small breweries. And it's funny how there's like of the 12 that are in New York that are in this grouping that we're going to be getting, there's like pockets where they're together. So there are sections of Brooklyn, East Williamsburg, and they're right next to each other in Bushwick. So the one tomorrow at Interborough, I think, is in East Williamsburg. So Gail was going to drive, but if she doesn't want to drive, we can always take an Uber. Because when you give up, it's funny. Now, this is going to surprise you because you have a parking lot in your complex where you have a spot. Here in Brooklyn, it's on the street parking, and you have to compete for it. It's there if it's there, and if it's not there, then you don't have a spot. So you got to ride around till you find one. And because of the snow, they've suspended what's called alternate side of the street parking, so nobody moves, because the snow is from the original snowstorm. So the problem is you're afraid when you leave, when you come back, somebody else takes your spot and you can't find another one. So I mean,
right. like that episode of Seinfeld. Where,
that's New York, and that's a good example of what you have to go through. So it's we'll find out what Gail wants to do. In a worst case scenario, we'll take an Uber together one way, and she can pay for it one way, and I'll pay for it coming back, because you want to get the different beers, and regardless of all those events, you can't do all of them, but I'm going to try to do as many as I can. And I have a section that I'm going to set aside in my book, because I'm going to try to keep track of some of it. You can't do all of it, but I'm going to try to keep track of some of it. I give Howard and his friend, the one who's in New York, a lot of credit, though, because when you look at that thing, they've organized a lot of interesting stuff with these brewers. And also there's going to be some music involved in it as well. And it's going to be a fun time. And I'm sure one of the biggest things is it's giving up a lot of my weekend. So I can imagine when Valentine's Day is over, I'm going to have to do something special for Audrey, because by the end, she's going to be probably angry at me that I've spent so much time on the computer watching all this stuff. But he chose Valentine's Day weekend, I think, figuring that would be an off weekend in both North Carolina and New York, because we're in the winter. So he doesn't want to do it when everybody is doing other things. But it's funny with the pandemic, it's not, it's a different time anyway. So it's kind of hard to figure out what we're doing. I'm only a couple of weeks away from my second vaccine, though, and so I'll be fully at least inoculated as much as I can do, and maybe there'll be another booster against the variants. That's what we're hearing now, so we don't know for sure.
Right. Yeah, some of the variants, I don't know. The variants I don't think are hitting us as bad as I honestly, I think that was more of a scare tactic. The other overseas, I think more the different strains are affecting people more, but I think that was kind of just to get people to maybe take it a little bit more seriously, because I mean, even in our little circle, we know there's a few people that aren't on board with the pandemic thing,
That's true. Has your company said anything about helping you get inoculated with the original vaccine in terms of less risk to you and the other physical therapists in your system?
So we'll have access to it in a couple weeks. And there's a form. We're not required to get it though. It's which I'm kind of surprised. A lot of the healthcare workers are required to get it, but I guess maybe because of the setting that I'm in, because I'm not in a hospital 24/7, it's not a requirement. I'm still, look, if I get it, I'm gonna wait a little while, but I would get the Johnson & Johnson one, because that one is 66% effective and it's only one shot versus the two.
Right.
Right.
And I understand that. I think that's what Audrey's going to probably do as well. I got the Moderna shot in late January. It's funny how you drink these beers and the months kind of roll into each other. In late January, and I get my second shot February. The months come together.
So Jeremy got the first one.
He's got his second one March 1st.
He gets his second shot March 1st.
Mine is
Jeremy,
February.
just curious, is it a job requirement for you? Or they give you a choice, or just curious if they're mandating that you get it or not?
Jeremy does work at a hospital.
He does, yeah. So that makes me think that maybe it's mandated, because most hospitals, I think, are mandating it just for the safety, not for them, for the safety of the patients more than anything. Right.
My second one is February 27th, which is 2 weeks from this Saturday. So I'm going to be getting my second one. And I decided to take this because even though Audrey was doing it the same way you are, waiting for the Johnson & Johnson, it just seemed like if I got mine, then I would be clear. All right. So he's saying masking and hand washing has helped as well.
That is interesting. Okay. So Jeremy is actually not required to get it either. And so, but yeah, everybody's getting it. So it's kind of like you'd be the odd man.
I just feel, John, it's a protection element for me, and it can't be something which you could just say to yourself, well, I thought I might do it, but then I decided not to do it. It can't hurt. And if it helps you, it's good. And my daughter got her first one. Her fiance, Chris, who you saw, got his first one. So they're going to get their second one this weekend. And it's a good idea, because if you do somehow get exposed to it, it's not going to affect you to the same degree, at least at worst.
Before I decide, one of the things I'm going to do as well is go get the antibody testing, because I think I already had it. I was really sick for about a week. It was like flu-like symptoms, plus I couldn't breathe. I had trouble breathing. So it was everything that you'd expect from COVID-19. And then I went and got tested, but it was, you drive up, they hand you the Q-tip, you self-administer it. So I think maybe I just didn't test positive because I didn't get up in there enough. So I want to get tested to see if I have the antibodies, which means that I have already had it. And it also means that I might be immune to it, because if you've already had it, they say that the chances of you getting it again, basically, if I've already had it, that would almost serve as a vaccine in itself, because my body would have built immunity to it.
But they did say, though, the immunity does not last indefinitely. So you still should consider taking the Johnson & Johnson anyway, because it only
well,
lasts
and that
a certain
being the
time.
newest one with the highest efficacy rate and the one shot versus two, that would be the one that I get.
Right. But you were talking before about our friends, both Bumpy Road and Jay, who both lost their taste and were, definitely sidelined from their basic beer skill set because they couldn't taste the beer and they couldn't smell. So they were in kind of a bad spot. Now, again, when you think about it, and it's in the beer group like we do, the fact that you can't smell or taste, as long as you're still around, I guess it's not a big deal. And yet there's a good chance both of them did have COVID. Not that Jay will admit that he did, but I think he did. And Bumpy at least stayed home and didn't expose anybody else to it. Jay just
and we know for sure Bumpy had it because he actually got tested. And I think he and his wife both had it.
Right, but Jay was never tested and continued going to Mathern's. So I'm led to only believe, and he can do whatever he wants. Everybody does what they want. That let's hope he did not get anybody else infected when he went to Mathern's. But you don't know, and that's the whole key to it. How easy the spread is. If you're wearing a mask, it can't hurt, and it has to slow the spread at least, because whatever dropules or whatever you're spreading, find it harder to spread if you're wearing a mask. So I'm using kind of like it's not an official N95 mask, but it's like the Chinese, one similar to the ones that the professionals use. So that it's the most advanced mask I've ever worn. I'm not doubling it, just a straight mask. I used to just use the paper mask, but now my daughter got from Amazon these N95 look-alike masks, and at least you're able to keep it on your face more and it doesn't come off. So that's what I've been using now. I was going to show you that this is all I have left.
Yeah, I'm pretty much,
So I've been going through it. I'm very happy with this, though, really. Whether it's 97 or 98, we're talking in the same exact area. So it's not like it's way off.
Right.
Very good. It's warm now. I wouldn't. It's room temperature now, pretty much, and it's still very good.
Yeah, the alcohol is really still not coming through. I mean, it's warming a little bit, so it's a higher ABV product, but it doesn't really increase with the booziness. It's very drinkable still. It retains that smooth mouthfeel. Maybe the vanilla, the maple syrup, maybe some of those more malty sweet notes are coming through a little bit more.
And if anything, the carbonation has faded. So the carbonation, which was so active at the beginning, now is not as effective. But again, you expect that to happen over time.
Yeah.
But I am happy with it for sure. And
mine's gone.
You just took your last sip. I can take mine. So, John, I will see you on Sunday when you host Stout Sunday. I'll be there. And I think I already told you I picked up a Anchor Porter, which is going to be my beer on Sunday. I've done it before, but
hey, if you're doing a repeat, Anchor Porter is a good one to do. Just it's.
I do enjoy it, and it's different than the Guinness and some of the other stuff that I've been doing repeats on. I think I think I do have one more Lion Stout. I've been trying to save it, but I could do that on another, one that we do. And I think I did the foreign Guinness a couple of weeks ago, or maybe that was last week or the week before. So it's good to do different ones. When I was at the co-op yesterday shopping, though, it was kind of surprising because they had basic stock on a lot of things, but it seems, I guess, and this is also pandemic related, because the people who work there have to do all the things which the volunteers used to do, people like me or who were not retired, who had to work. Now, because of the pandemic, they can't be forced to work. So the regular paid staff has to man the cash registers, do the stocking. So I saw the beer person. She was there, and I spoke to her. And I said, "You haven't been answering any of my emails." And she says, "In the general principle of life, your emails are not important now." Look, that's giving me the direct approach. And what she's saying is she has to now, besides be the beer buyer, she has to do stocking and she has to do all this other stuff. So she doesn't have time. And look, I understand. I mean, I guess I can be weird and say, I like knowing things or asking questions. Because I had asked her to try to find me a Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, try to find me a red ale, because it looks like red ale won. Bumpy didn't come on, but I think red ale won in multi.
Yeah, he was in the chat. He left a comment, said red IPA won for multi.
Okay, so now I have not yet been able to find a red IPA either, but I do have the 5 days between now and Monday to find it. And otherwise, Kuzi wasn't able to really help me. She did show me a section where she got different things that I like, but it's not things I want now. So it didn't help me. She showed me some.
Right now, I know that the co-op doesn't carry Founders beers anymore. Are you going to be able to get the Mackinac Fudge for next week?
I'm going to look, but I'm in one of the groups where it showed up. I didn't buy it, and then it was gone. It was almost like it was not in large quantities. It just showed up, and it was like $6 a bottle. And I said, that's a little bit pricey for me. I should have bought one, I guess, and said,
yeah,
I can handle it. And now you don't see it anywhere anymore. So it's like Jay says that some of it's still where he is, and you can still get it. You can't get it here anymore. So that's one of I said that earlier in the other, when we were on Jay's channel, that sometimes when you see something, and even if you have to pay more than you want, you should do it because you may never see it again. And that's it.
Right.
So I have a feeling unless they make it again or something similar, I may not see the Mackinac Fudge. It was here and now it's gone, and I just have to live with it. And it sounded like it was you've had at least one, right?
I have had, I've probably had 8 or 9 since.
Okay, so you were able to get 4 packs of it, which is great.
I highly, it's one of those. It's my favorite KBS variant. I mean, because there's more chocolate with the fudge in there than there is coffee, so it's more balanced. Like the straight KBS and the espresso are so coffee centered. This one's a little bit more, my kind of thing with the chocolate and the sweetness. It's a little bit more balanced and less coffee. So
would you compare it straight up with the CBS and say it's as good?
I would say that it's right there with the CBS. I still think the CBS has a slight edge because it's a little bit more with the maple and the chocolate and the bourbon barrels and everything. Although the CBS has coffee in it as well, it's even less coffee than the KBS Mackinac Fudge, which is my preference because I could, any stout I'd probably prefer without the coffee because the other flavors are allowed to come through more.
Right. I gave the CBS a 99. I gave the KBS a 97. So the straight KBS,
right?
Which I've never had the Mackinac Fudge.
So my guess would be that you give it a 90. Split the difference, so you probably think right around 98 for the Mackinac Fudge.
Right. I would like to try it, and if I saw it again, I definitely would buy it. A lot of times, and this is a bad thing because it's not like I can't afford to spend a couple of extra dollars. It's just that when I look at it, $6 a bottle seems almost obscene to me, and it shouldn't, but it does. And I spend it for the Bourbon County because the Bourbon County is like $11 plus for a 16.9 ounce size. If you look at it, the Founders is cheaper.
Yeah, I was going to say if you look at it per ounce, the Founders actually comes out a little bit cheaper.
Right, but there's something about the Bourbon County that I just have it's in the core of my heart, just what it is. And you did have that. The vertical that Miscellaneous sent you, and I think you at least agree about the quality of the higher alcohol Bourbon Counties. I mean, it's like amazing.
They're the best stouts I've ever had, the Bourbon County. The CBS, the KBS, they're up there, but they're second. They come in second every time when you compare it to the Bourbon County because the Bourbon County has more bourbon. It has more bourbon notes. It's the barrel aging is exceptional with the Bourbon County. It's more Which is better.
And I still have not done, like we've discussed, a Hundy. But when you get to that 99 level on the CBS and on the Bourbon County, it's top level stuff.
And I have given
Jeremy is telling you
most of the Bourbon counties I've reviewed are 99, and then I think two of them, the blueberry almond one that I did from 2017, I gave 100, and then I think it was the 2019 was the one that I actually liked the best and I think I gave that one 100. I'll maybe off air you can text me, because those are some of the videos, unfortunately, that were lost. Those live streams, so I can't remember which one I gave 100, but I know I gave one of them 100.
I think I told you before, I was at least happy that your own individual examination of the Lion Stout is still there. So at least I can see one of the beers that you did that I sent you, because the other ones, all the other three went in the I don't want to.
And you have a record of it, so we can look it up to see.
I have it on paper, but it's not the same thing as looking.
It's not.
But
thankfully, though, there were only I didn't lose that many videos. But it's like the ones that I did, they were all ones that were so special to me, because it's like I can't get any of them.
Right. It was in a classic period, the way it worked out in the time. So look, the good thing is you've remedied the situation, and from now on things will be cool and no problem. It won't happen again. And that's all you can do at this point.
Right.
John, I'm going to take off. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you on Sunday. I'll keep in touch with you, and I'll let you know as the Pints of Love goes which ones I do. And take a look at that thing I sent you. And if you have any reaction, send me back a text.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, for joining tonight in the chat. We had a great chat going on. Thanks to Michael Komaroff. I'm glad you enjoyed your first Pontoon beer. More to come. We'll probably do another thing next Wednesday after.
Sounds great.
And until then, everybody, cheers. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
John, take care.